who wants to bring Jake up to speed and do the recap?
Manakai wants to do it.
What?
I hasn't done a recap in like at
bothered
least
by
3-4
heavy-
sessions.
Me and Grimmeth has done the last few, I think.
We have.
That's probably true. Kadoon. Falling out on me.
Cardoon isn't in this group, Manakai.
I know. What I'm saying.
All Europeans sound alike to the Danish too.
Well, you can't ask for 6 players, though. Well, let's see. Last time we, I believe, we arrived in Coppergate, and well, that was a big city. Were we here already? No, I think we arrived here. Anyway, that's how I'm going to tell this story. And we promptly sort of began looking for information about, well, Jax's egg for one, which we found fairly quickly. It was we went to the I believe information brokers, not first anyway. We found it regardless, and we found out that it was held by a man who ran a construction company. And he was doing sort of a strange thing with making it like a test to see if you loved your unborn child enough to go through like set of trials and tribulations and such. And we talked to him, intimidated him a little bit, and such. After, of course, talking to kids and stuff. Anyway, with that done, we decided that now it's time to do something about our own issues, because we didn't really want to go and deal with the whole love your kid dungeon just now. Jax is not here anyway. What would we really do with the egg if we got it? And we kind of feel like he maybe should be in on that if that's something we're going to be doing. It is his after all. So we went and looked for Gwyneth. And, well, turns out that he had a house, the information broker told us. When we went there, though, he hadn't lived there for months, and the information broker turned out to be just some random guy who said he knew something, and went literally into the Grey, conclave, and asked them, "Where does Gwyneth live?" and accepted that answer blankly, and took all of our money for it. So not really a great information broker, I could say. Anyway, at least we know the Grey Enclave was there, and we decided that maybe we should just storm it and kill Gwyneth, and be done with it, finish him off right here. We did speak to Warwick about that. He seemed to indeed be on our side, and did actually tell Graham that he could interrupt a meeting that Gwyneth was having, which could not otherwise be interrupted. At the bottom, he was doing sort of an induction ritual, I believe, for some new recruits for the Grey people, Grey priests. Is there another name for them that doesn't refer to the Grey constantly, like the?
All names for them.
Stuff? Greys.
All names for them really have Grey in the name, because that's kind of an important term for them.
All right. Well, the Greys, then. And I think that's generally the consensus of what we're going to do. I'm sure people have done stuff in the meantime. We had a little time to do stuff, but otherwise, I think that's what we're going to do. So yeah, I don't think I missed too much. Just go around some details, perhaps.
You did skip You did kind of skip the talking to underage kids, but we'll just,
I mean, that's something that happened, but it turned out to. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So it is. A little more than a day later, approximately morning time in the tavern, the name of which I have forgotten. The badger in the barrel, I think.
Yes. See, you didn't forget it. Good work. You remembered Jonas's inane
I remember.
tavern name.
Hey, those are good names.
Let me just write a label, because who knows, maybe it's super important.
The X and the Y.
And there we go. And there you are. Probably sitting at a table eating your morning lunch. One of those two. And, you know, if there are things you want to do, go.
Well, I guess at the morning, where everyone is eating their delicious porridge or whatever, Anarkin will come in. He hasn't been in the inn during the night. He seems to have been out. And when he comes back, he sort of sweeps down into his chair next to Gilgalad, who might be sleeping at this point. Who knows? And he says, I did some asking around, some detective work. I'm not really used to it, but I thought that, well, I thought were some things that needed to be checked out. I have found out the name of Graneth's wife, the late Wyona Lane. She died at the age of 26, and that was 37 years ago. The cause of death is listed as murder, and the perpetrator was a Timothy DeLorne during a diplomatic mission, handling outside arrivals, whatever that means. I have also found where she is buried, in the town's strangely very small graveyard. Next to her grave, which is marked with a large weathered boulder, where the inscription reads Wyona Lane, who saw the land as a gift to be shared. But next to it there is a fresh grave, recently dug, where there is a stone commemorating Glenelle Howards, who fought to protect the land. Glenelle Howards was the mercenary lady who accosted us on our way when we first met Jax, and who died. It seems unlikely that someone found the body that we buried in the middle of the woods in nowhere and brought it here. Nevertheless, that seems to be the location of a grave now. And since I was asked by her ghost to find her, I intend to cast a ritual to speak with her spirit.
Oh dear.
At the gravesite?
Yes, the connection there is the strongest.
And frowns at the idea that someone would have... Yeah.
How long would this take?
Cheap.
It would take somewhere between half an hour to multiple hours.
Then that is the information he will get. He will give to Fancy.
Fancy, like, lifts one brow and then two brows. Half an hour to multiple hours?
The magics I employ are somewhat difficult to control. He shoots a glance over to Graham. And I might need your help.
How noticeable are... Because if we walk into the graveyard and stand in front of one grave for a quarter of a day...
Oh, it will have to be...
there
will
chantings, lights, auras, that sort of thing.
Pentagrams, magical circles, incense, other things. He nods. Yes. It can be somewhat of a spectacle. It depends on how strong the energy is at the site and how willing the spirit is to talk to us. It will have to be done in the middle of the night, naturally.
Well, I suppose Granith is still supposed to be busy, though I thought we would get started today. I suppose we could wait till tomorrow to stand in the graveyard and Fancy offers a very nervous smile.
Graham seems a little bit relaxed, actually. That Enrican, like, this would be sort of distressing normally. Like, we are going to go to the graveyard in the middle of the city and conduct a necromantic ritual for a few hours. But
thankfully, it's not in the middle of the city. It's outside the city.
And he's also been through the ritual with Enrican quite a few times. Like, they've done that in the past as well. So he's more... He's falling into old, sort of, his old experience, or what can you say? It's comfortable in a way. So much new stuff happens all the time.
Indeed.
Doodle.
Anakin looks at the others. Yes.
The graveyard that Anakin is talking about definitely is not inside the city, but some slight distance away.
Oh, that makes
A
it
few
easier.
minutes walk outside the actual city bounds. It is, however, somewhat fortified. Something that Anakin would have definitely noticed. With a proper wall going around the entire premise, 2 gates. The opening times for the graveyard are, suffice to say, it's not supposed to be open during the night.
Are there, like,
and there are most
guards
definitely
and
some
stuff?
guards there.
Oh.
There are some, although there's not like an army stationed there. So maybe like half a dozen people.
He probably won't be happy.
Probably
to
not.
just let us in.
Perhaps some deal can be
The
made.
the graveyard does have trees and like low rock walls, and of course the actual graves, the boulders that could be enough to obscure vision from the outside wall where the guards usually patrol. Perhaps, if you're lucky. Suffice to say that doing necromantic rituals on the graveyard at night is frowned upon.
I'm sure this place has some sort of law that would condemn it. Regardless, perhaps some sort of entertainment could be provided for these guards, that they might look elsewhere, unknowingly perhaps, to our presence.
Anakin nods. I could talk to them, although my track record for such dealings are not the best.
No, I he sort of looks a little like he's, like, I don't think that is the way to proceed here. I was thinking more of a donation of ale, perhaps, would be something they could understand a bit. In the evening, perhaps we'll make them drowsy, or lazy, or even loud.
Anakin nods. Could work, yes. It's better than nothing.
Other than that, going into places that have living guards is not something I've been particularly well trained to do. Neither is hiding from any.
I mean, I can
Yes.
hide, but me hiding is not particularly useful to any of you.
And the ritual cannot be hidden easily. In any case. But if they can be distracted or made drowsy by lots and lots of alcohol, then that is a way forward. All right.
Do we know what particular reason someone has to be buried in that graveyard in particular?
Shakes his head. No idea. Seems odd, unless she was very close to Granith, which she could have been, I suppose.
What kind of gods is it? What quality?
Did
Do they have dogs with them?
Did Anrikin see anything like that, Sheep?
The guards didn't seem like elite trained guards, just people keeping a watch on the graveyard. They most definitely didn't have dogs.
I mean, I imagine there's not usually a lot of trouble on such a post.
I would imagine not.
Oh, I should have named one of my backgrounds Cloak and Dagger. Hindsight.
Me too. Fancy with that smoke and dagger.
Graham, the hero this town needs.
That's right. Sure, we could do some donations. Maybe Demes can show up, throw some money and booze around.
Yeah, I have
Talk
money and
a-
booze aplenty.
Talk a bit of talk. Say that they have been working hard and now deserve some rest. And surely a night off wouldn't be too bad. Hint, hint.
Maybe he could be an outsider here to have a look at local things and want to spend some time with the locals. Maybe he could offer them, if they would talk to him, he would offer them a bit of ale, maybe some instructions. I don't know. People offer others now. A feast doesn't seem appropriate.
It's true. Yeah, I can do that. I can try anyway.
To fancy. Perhaps this might also be something you could participate in.
Fancy blinks. What?
Distraction.
Then we need to be entertained and distracted for the night. Me and Graham can handle the ritual.
Sure. How many?
Looks to Enrican.
Looks to Sheep.
Enrican looks at God.
Closes his
Yeah,
eyes.
Looks up at like the ceiling.
The length of the ritual will vary a bit. You will find out how long exactly it'll take once you actually start, but you can expect somewhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours.
You didn't ask that.
We asked how many guards.
Oh, how many guards? Sorry, I thought how long. Enrican saw about half a dozen,
6 or so.
somewhere around there.
About 6.
Fancy. Like, puffs her cheeks out and says, well, I'm a great storyteller and contortionist. I kind of know how to juggle still. Fancy, like, goes, like, into thought now.
Alright. Sounds like our resident circus and entertainment experts are on the case.
Yeah.
Anakin looks to Graham in that case. We should gather some things that might be needed.
He nods and says, yes, that would be good.
Gets up, picks up a shovel. Nope.
I'm ready.
Let's go. Do our dark deed. With that, Anakin and Graham, I imagine, would go out of town to gather the various trinkets and weird things that would be needed for...
There's like a year-old magic shop.
Some lich dust.
Come to
please.
Adventure
It's
Mart.
like on the bright center lane, there's a brooding dark shop called Necromancy and other
It's called
things.
something like Dark Magic Town Shop.
I imagine though that most like stuff like necromancers are shrewd, so it's like when kids are buying like sugar and some other stuff to just you can make moonshine out of it. it's normal stuff. It's just, necromancers have learned to use normal stuff, so they don't attract too much attention when they do their stuff.
I mean, probably still magic stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's newt eyes and bat wings and
Normal
like
stuff
that.
in the majory sense.
Yes.
Yeah, there are definitely shops that sell that kind of thing. They don't advertise themselves as like the wizard like repository or anything. They're just herbalists and alchemists who definitely though have a stock that is aimed at weird rituals.
Of course.
There's like a you have to show your spell book to get to those goods.
It's under
You have
the
to
counter.
verify it. Yeah.
You flash your spellbook and they're like, oh yes. And then it's in necromancer spellbook and they're like, oh my.
I'm like, ooh, let me take you into the
I'll
back.
get the black box.
This guy's hardcore. All right.
Always twice the price though.
Oh yeah. So,
That's the price you pay.
for coolness. All right, off to the magic shop.
I'll take you to the magic shop.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bo-bo.
Yeah, the different like herbs and like bat bones and new tongues and whatever takes a little while to collect, but as it turns out, Coppergate is a great place to shop for things, especially weird things. Really all the things. Need something, you can get it here.
Say, guy who sells something just because sometimes a wizard needs it. Who knows for what?
And who knows what a wizard needs?
They're willing to pay a lot of gold to get it.
They
So
need the
why not
weirdest
sell
things.
like moonshined deer fur, or something like that. Who knows? Yeah.
Mandrake root washed in blood of goat.
Sure.
He had some of each and just thought, why not mix it? Wizard will buy it.
And
Yeah.
so we can skip ahead to the evening, I'd say. As you do your preparations during the day.
I need to be right back quickly. Sorry.
Alright, I guess we'll have to wait then.
He's preparing still.
It's mentally preparing.
It's like, okay, I can do this.
I sent Jonas a whisper about this, but since he stepped away, I share it. If any of you watched him play Contradiction, Spot the Liar, or have seen the game or played the game yourself in action, what I'm expecting whenever we pop into Secret Ath is that he's going to be like Ryan Rand with all of his charges down there and doing such a creepy thing. Opens the door, he's got like masks on and shit.
We've been expecting you.
Yeah. Drink some scotch.
Strokes a Persian cat.
Lean next to a fireplace.
Please get out. I'm in the middle of something
Yes.
here.
Just because we were expecting you doesn't mean you're welcome. Now go away.
We open the door, they just stand there Necronomicon open,
It's like
pentagrams everywhere.
you've caught someone doing something they're not supposed to.
Excuse me, and just closes the door behind him. You hear the
She
chanting continue.
coughs and turns around.
Of course, turning around on his swiveling chair while stroking a cat's back, as villains do. Too bad that swiveling chairs have not been invented yet.
Who knows? It is the city of the architect.
It's probably 10 in him. That's the problem. Might not sit as well in chairs because of the tail, as she went.
They are more into the whole stool technology.
Dragging on a stool.
Well, since Jonas is gone, Jonas already knows how the graveyard looks like, however. And you're back. All right. Let me once more describe the graveyard as you're approaching, as dusk settles on the land. Dusk has probably settled. You kind of want to reach there at midnight or something. But the graveyard looks somewhat like a squared off a walled-in square. Reasonably large, although not really nearly as large as a graveyard for this kind of size and this kind of age of city should be. Certainly a bit too small for that. There's a sizable wall going around the entire compound. Pretty big, like 3 meters high. Although it does seem like all the fortifications, the gates and whatnot are directed inwards. Not to keep things out, but rather to keep things in case of emergencies. The graveyard has 2 entrances. A front gate that is usually open during the day, just to let visitors access, and a smaller gate at the back, probably for deliveries of who knows what a graveyard needs, fertilizers and new plants and new rocks and whatnot. It does seem that even during this time, there are at least a couple of people patrolling around. There's 2 torchlights slightly moving here and there, signifying that they are probably being held by people and not just floating through the air. As well as a couple people walking on top of the walls. Easily visible from a distance, again, due to the torches.
Damn, they have walls they can actually walk upon.
Yep.
Someone cares a lot about this graveyard. So the walls, like, do they have they're turned inwards then?
Yes. Judging by the amount of guards and the general look of the fortification, it seems that in case of emergency, lock down the gates and hope for reinforcements seems to be the plan.
Perhaps we're here to exercise something.
That's what we say when they ask.
And so what's your plan of approach here? Just straight to the gates?
Well, there are 2 of them. Allegedly, they're both watched. So either we distract them first or we have to lie. If we have to lie, Graham probably shouldn't be the one to do it. I don't know.
Same.
So. Dimas is great at lying, you know. Fancy
but
isn't.
I'm supposed to be the distraction.
Well, you know. A plan only
Maybe you're
lasts
the
until
little
you have ended.
halfling gremlin that dances around and spooks the spirits.
It's true. So, well,
So
me
get
and
us
Fan,
in.
hang on. No, I know. But, so the,
They
What
have
I
an
was-
actual damn castle wall with gates.
yeah. See, I think it would be way easier to get, like, me and Fancy in, and then you guys, while the gates open and they're distracted by us, just kind of slink through, but that will
I'm
not
not
work
a
at all.
slinking man.
Yeah, exactly.
I think almost the best way would be to bluff that we're here to do something. Like, it seems like they
Yeah,
want to
but
keep
why
stuff in,
nighttime?
so they would be, because that's when the ghosts and spirits are active. What do these people know of necromancy? Right? I'm sure Enric can be like, the spirit realm, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, considering how seriously they've treated the defense of this graveyard, they might know a bit about necromancy. You know, like
I mean,
a
I own a
workplace-like
rope.
environment, they might have like a bulletin board up, like, what to do when you see necromancy, or here's how to
Right,
identify
in case of
necromancy.
necromancy.
Yes. Bright lights in various colors. Chanting in eldritch languages. If you see one or more of these signs, contact your local authorities. Oh, wait, that's
They
you.
have
Go
zombies
stop
and
it.
skeletons following them. Do not let them in.
Yeah.
Must be some really good
Ooh.
corpses in there to raise. You know, if they have it this protected.
It's like the dragon graveyard.
Oh. Now we're
See, that
talking.
might be a solution if they scales and bones and stuff are actually worth shit. Graham wouldn't like that, though. It's pretty despicable, too.
Mhm.
Just rob corpses like that. And again, we need to get in. Luckily,
do.
he's relying on Enrican for that. So
Yeah, all of Demez's pre-thought out plans for how to get into places like this are for himself. Like he doesn't have any
I mean,
group
they
ideas.
they have like a barracks or something.
They do have one, although it seems to be a very small building, just enough to fit all of them. Not really a place where they would sleep. Or at least not a place where all of them would sleep at the same time.
I mean,
how far? Sorry.
I mean, you probably just go into the barracks and be like, "Hello, I am Big Spender. Come join me as we party the night away."
Yeah, right. But like, how do
You
we
don't
get in to
need
begin
money
with?
bags.
Is the
Like
point.
the gate is probably locked to the
Yeah.
graveyard.
Yeah,
We can
exactly.
break open a gate, surely.
Not quietly.
How big is the gate?
Can you pick the lock to the gate?
No, it's probably like a portcullis.
I don't know. Is it a portcullis?
The gate is essentially one of those. Let me find you a picture because describing that is really difficult.
One of those like grid-shaped portcullis,
Uh,
perhaps.
It's like one of these, basically. It's not too large, big enough for a reasonably sized carriage to go through, but it's not an enormous castle gate.
A graveyard gate.
Yeah, you can pick the lock on that thing.
Is there a guard?
Now that attached to a wall wide enough for people to walk on. The gate might be like a new thing, like a temporary measure, like the last one might have been broken.
The last one rotted.
Yeah, the last one got trampled by the zombie hordes.
We're currently between like
mean-
gates, and we're trying to hold a bake sale to build a new one.
There's that the presidents of that guy from Masquerade Bloodlines. I mean, he was happy to be distracted for a while.
Yeah,
So maybe these are like, this is certainly the graveyard shift.
it is.
I mean, we could just approach him and improvise, but Graham will talk, and he's not particularly great at lying, so, and he doesn't really like to.
Fancy will wonder like where the plan for distraction went, because she's great entertainment.
I might have an idea. How
You know,
close
what if-
is the barracks to the gate?
Could you repeat that?
How close is the barracks to the gate?
It is not far from the main entrance, although it is,
There was
of
a
course.
secondary entrance.
Yes, the secondary entrance is on the other side of the graveyard, some distance away from the barracks.
So if
So
Fancy were to distract the guards, and Demes was to lock us in through the secondary gate, that will work out.
that could work. I also had the idea that I could go in through the main gate, right? Say, hello, I brought you all some booze. I see how hard you work. You know, maybe you deserve a night off. Nothing's going to happen. You all know it. Nothing happens every... Because, okay, maybe not those exact words. But,
Maybe you
like,
deserve a
it-
night off. Nothing's going to happen.
It depends on how much money
know-
you flash when you say that.
nothing happens every night. Tonight won't be any different.
Just see
I
them
promise.
with their soulless, sunken
Wink.
eyes.
But
Tonight.
Nothing
Locked.
ever happens, huh?
yeah, but but then we go into the barracks and start drinking, and then I excuse myself to go to the bathroom and open the gate. But I think the other idea is better than being suspicious.
Sure. Graham trusts Fancy to know her crap at this point. She's good.
You know, she is good. This is also what happens whenever you spent your adult life worshipping a goddess of love and beauty.
Besides, she seems so important.
She does seem very important.
Should be the best entertainment these guards have ever received. How did we get so lucky that the bureaucrats cared about us and our hard work?
Mm-hmm.
So,
All your filing and complaints have been heard. Congratulations.
Then for this night, you can have adult entertainment. And then when you wake up, the zombie horde will have arisen.
Oh no, there won't be any problems.
we got to fight the
No,
zombies
none
in
at
there.
all.
They ask us,
Nothing
we just
will
passed
happen.
by and saw the gate unlocked and undefended.
Now I'm on this train of
cemeteries.
thought, I fucking feel like I'm playing a Song of Ice and Fire instead of...
Well, I suppose we'll try to. I guess we'll go wait in the bushes for them to leave.
Let's skulk in the darkness.
Yeah, as men of our character are wont to do.
Yes, exactly.
Skulking is our specialty.
It is a lovely night, is it not, my friend?
What a great night to skulk.
Full moon, like slightly covered by a cloud, is like a
Yep.
wolf's howls.
Yep,
Like a bat flies over.
yep. It is a night for wizardry, yes.
I just make sure that I don't accidentally reveal everything ever.
I don't
And if
know,
we go in there and the ground is going to be like a gaping maw or something,
I kind of like seeing everything ever. That's pretty nice.
No,
Yes.
no everything for you.
Come on.
If you look to your left, I've given you 2 squares. One is the bushes, the other one the gate.
okay, we can see very little.
Moore's Lieb shines.
You're damn right it does.
Well, I only had the world map loaded instead of the copper gate map. No, my immersion! How will I see the squares now? That's right, birds. How will I? I like to imagine it being like midnight, these merry little birds chirping.
They're
It's
so
the
happy.
midnight song. Echoes of
Cry
souls
out
long
the doom
dead.
of man!
It's a bad omen when the birds sing at night.
Doom of man, like a tiny bird singing.
Yeah. You know,
Fueling
it
the
sounds
night
cheerful
with
to
their
us, but
hatred.
in their language they are singing the fucking...
Oh my god, I moved myself across the void. Holy shit, I don't know how I managed to do it, but I did it.
Something about the doom of man makes it easier to move across the void.
You know, it all makes sense now. My character's divine patron is a songbird. That's her icon.
Spook!
Fancy for Architect 2020.
How do I approach this? I didn't actually think this far because I didn't think anything would have to be detailed. Yet here we are.
Yeah, sorry about putting everything on you again.
I think the bureaucratic approach could work. Be like, oh, you have complained for years, but now I am here. Congratulations.
It's like, no, we love our job.
Mm-hmm. Really, I'm the.
She's not a liar. Remember that.
Oh, that's true. Damn it.
She can lie. She just dislikes doing so. Really dislikes it. It would make her feel dirty.
I am workplace appreciation lady, and I'm here to.
Workplace appreciation.
Yeah.
Here is some paperwork to fill out to show how much you appreciate your job. And
All right,
me.
all right. You guys might have to go and do a plan. I didn't actually think I'd have to do anything in character. I'm drawing a complete blank.
You're coming
yeah,
from the
I
party.
also was.
too.
What was the general plan then? If you can't find the specific words.
Basically, Fancy distracts the guards at the main gate, tries to get people off the wall so the Dimmis can pick the secondary gate lock and get us in that way.
All right, then we shall do this differently.
I just don't know how to I don't know an icebreaker. God, I might as well just be fucking trying to entertain people in real life.
Yeah. Talk to a girl you don't know for the first time.
So, local sports team. In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So,
No,
how's
you-
the weather?
It's night.
Let's let the dice speak then here. Fancy wants to distract the guardsman. How? We don't know. Let's see how well she does, however.
Oh, I know. She was the spectacular ringmistress of Ashley Circus. Before that, she worked in that circus for a number of years until her parents suffered a tragic circus-related accident together that no one really talks about, but may or may not have involved an elephant. But now she is here in this moment with all of the skills of oratory and song and poetry and a deep appreciation for what these fine individuals do here, risking their very souls in defending Coppergate and nay, the entire world from doom and disaster at the hands of whatever maleficent, malevolent spirit would wish to rise. And fancy, she has good in her heart, and she sees at least some of that in some of these guards. And she will captivate them. And you know, this is supposed to take anywhere from a half hour to several hours. So Fancy's basically resolved, like, okay, this is my entire night now. And she is a very good storyteller, and she will totally find a great icebreaker and means to get pretty much almost all of the guards, she hopes, to come with her to the barracks where they can sit down and comfortably enjoy the story, using her spectacular ringmistress background, plus her charisma modifier, plus her level. Good work, Fancy. You found an icebreaker. That passes a ridiculously hard skill check in a champion tier environment.
Well, as it turns out, these guards are, or rather were, utterly bored out of their minds as Fancy approached. And as it turns out, she is really good at entertaining people, and they appreciate that. Despite it being somewhat unusual and perhaps not exactly appropriate for them to leave their post during, well, the graveyard shift, they've worked here for years and nothing ever really happened, so
I told you.
But with that kind of role,
there's a literal wall. So.
With that kind of role, like she has actually lied, and Fancy is like scowling at herself inside, but she's lied and says that finally, like, their pleas and like hopes that the bureaucracy in Coppergate would care more about them have been answered, and for this one night, they can have her, and the the lovebird, the songbird, will be watching over all of them, and into the barracks they go.
The two guards do invite her, and they also ask at least some of the guards currently patrolling around to, you know, let's have some fun. Just this night. This lady has come, and she's great and smart and entertaining. So
she
the graveyard
seems amazingly important, and we're not entirely sure why.
Yeah.
Also, we're decidedly not important, so we should at least give her some of our time.
And too many questions would just ruin the night, so they don't ask.
Right, follow the lady with the expensive clothing and the aura of status.
Let me give you a barracks up here. There you go. So the gate is unguarded.
My immersion is complete. Now I can have a barracks.
I feel like I am there.
Oh shit, there was half a dozen guards. Oh.
Well,
Well, you'll have to deal with you'll have to deal with the one guard.
Like Fancy's like one guard is gone, we said look at the five, like okay. Guess.
Yeah, the one guard who didn't want to come he's the grumpy one. He's new. He wants to make a good impression, and he really doesn't know how
Just
this
out
works.
of the academy.
It's like our job is really important, guys, and they're like,
Idiot.
How long have you worked here, new blood? I've been here 30 years. Well, no, I'm sorry, 30 years. I've been here 30 years.
I'll tell you what, I don't care who the songbird or whatever is, but I know what I see
It's
in
an
front of me.
excuse to not work.
maybe he's part of the Grey. He's really boring.
Hey, he could just take his duty very seriously, yeah, like,
Duty.
God damn kids.
So there is one there. Well, we can take out one guard.
No. Let's there are 2 gates and 1 guard. We just pick the one he isn't watching.
There you
And
go.
then we go in, we close the gate, we do our ritual thing, then we leave. And then that's it. Is he gonna run in there and be like, hey guys, there's totally a necromantic ritual happening right now out here? They're gonna be like, you just tried to ruin this for us, you idiot. Get the fuck away.
Yep.
It's gonna be so blatant that if he sees it, he's probably not gonna believe
It's
it.
so blatant that no one will believe it.
Oh,
Yeah, necromantic
dancing
ritual.
skeleton.
Well, that would be the worst thing ever if he did run in to do that, and by the time they got out there, you guys were gone.
Exactly, and they're
That
like,
guy's life would be ruined.
And then,
So,
yeah, no, his entire career is just over.
yeah. You're gonna be on parking duty in a city where cars doesn't even exist. Well, let's we look at Demes, I guess.
They did lock the gate before leaving it.
Oh, of course. Which, so the grumpy, frumpy guard, which gate is he at?
He's not really at either gate. He is patrolling the. He's patrolling the wall near the far gate, near the back gate. Quite
Okay,
some
then
distance
we'll
away
go
from the
the
front gate.
Other gate.
Let's just get in then and get this done
Yeah.
with.
All right. Well, I do have the what is it called? What did I name that background? Yeah, the cat Burko background, which does in fact, Demez he knows his way around locks and breaking into places for altogether unsavory reasons. So hopefully those skills will help him now.
I think that's very appropriate to picking locks.
Excellent. And that would be dexterity, probably.
Dexterity, yeah. Yeah, the lock on the big gate is strong and large and probably hard to break, but it is pretty incredibly simple, and Dimmers has no problem whatsoever opening it in no time at all, with no sounds made at all. The gate
Excellent.
is open.
We'll move in and
Yeah.
close the door behind us then.
Yeah. But don't lock it, because I might not be able to do that again coming out.
Sure, no.
No, the padlock just hangs there. It's unlocked.
Stick it on there so it looks like it's locked.
Yep.
The gate squeaks a tiny bit as you open and close it, but the singing birds outside are louder.
Then we'll saunter into the graveyard, assuming that Enrique knows where we're going.
Yes, he does.
He has been here before, and the graveyard is, of course, laid out in a rather systematic fashion, with little booths with pretty much the same kind of grave in every little booth. It is a practice that even Graham might appreciate, as the practice of burying their dead on large, smooth boulders, previously found in rivers, although these ones might be chiseled, is certainly a very, very old practice. And while some of the culture certainly did change quite a bit, it looks like at least the treatment of the dead might not have at least changed that quickly.
The old gods are honored by such a thing.
And Enrican can indeed lead you to the 2 graves next to each other. One, a very weathered boulder. Plenty of signs of the rain chipping away at the rock quite successfully. Probably was round and smooth at some point. Now it's just smooth and just really distorted a bit as the rain removed bits of it. The other boulder on the other side, first of all, a bit smaller, but far smoother, far rounder. On the large weathered boulder, there is the inscription still somewhat readable, although again the rain has done its work on it. Wyona Lane, who saw the land as a gift to be shared. The smaller boulder has a fresh inscription, of course, as the even the dirt it's lying on is fairly fresh, saying Linnell Howards, who fought to protect the land.
Well, let's begin the preparations. Incense, candles. Taking up positions.
Perhaps, Dimes, it would be better if you kept watch.
I can do that.
Yes, make sure that nothing interrupts this.
Yes.
Drawing the necessary runes on the ground. Lighting some candles.
So, Dimas will then kind of sit watch in like a secluded corner. He will watch the guard that is remaining on the wall, and he will watch the barracks or whatever it was that Fancy's in. And if anybody comes around, he will be wary of it.
Yeah, the guard walking on the wall is fairly easy to track as he's walking around with a torch in the night, so it's no problem at all to keep track of him. And there are plenty of sounds of merriment and laughter coming from the barracks, undoubtedly, with moments of silence as Baby Fancy is telling a tense and exciting story, where laughter isn't really appropriate. But there are certainly sounds of distracted guards coming from the barracks.
All right.
Alright, with things done, Anakin will look over to Graham, raise his hands, and say, "Let's begin the incantations." And then he will do so.
Just sort of nods as usual, more lending his power to the ritual than actually sort of participating in many of the incantations, since Enrican is more of the... He practices this more, while for Graham it's more of an innate ability.
Alright, roll me a d4, Jonas, please.
Sure. I get a 1. Yes, Bird.
Bird is excited. And as it turns out, the ritual proves easier and quicker than expected. As despite there being so many perhaps different influences in this area that might interfere, it's fairly easy for Enrican to find out that, in fact, the body of Linnell Howards is most definitely buried here. And contacting her spirit also seems to go fairly well, as the spirit itself seems to be rather responsive. At least that's what it seems like to Enrican.
Alright.
And even before the half hour that Enrican himself would now think he needs approximately, the vague shape of a humanoid form, at least, does materialize. Not exactly where Enrican wants it, like in the summoning circle or whatnot, but rather sitting on a different grave behind Enrican, perhaps even going unnoticed for a little while. As she sits or materializes, the fog condensing into the shape of a sitting form, a sitting woman on the grave of another. She is her vague legs crossed, looking rather curious but also somewhat disinterested, as she slightly shakes her head, then talks in a slightly echoey voice. I think you can stop your little ritual. We wouldn't want to wait this now, would we?
Oh gosh. Sorry that you went mega robotic there for us.
Super laggy.
Well then,
She's
let me
here.
repeat then. She is here, materializing on a boulder behind you, sitting with crossed legs, looking disinterested, but somewhat curious at the same time.
Alright.
As she says, "You can stop your little ritual now. We wouldn't want to wake the neighbors now, would we?"
Enrican slowly turns around, sees her, lowers his arms, lets still his power sort of, flow into the area so we can keep her here.
Could someone else perhaps host a call so Talsper can join? It doesn't seem that they would let me have him.
It's a Skype update. It said before that he needs to update Skype to join.
He says he's all the way in. Sometimes Skype does this.
Okay.
I'll host it.
Yep.
All right.
Nope, it's doing it for me too in regards to him, so problems on his end.
Hmm.
No, he's so contra.
Yep.
Oh,
The only common denominator in these dysfunctional relationships is him.
Got him.
Well, while he tries to restart, Anakin will look at her and say, "You told me to find Graneth, and you told me to find you. I believe I have done so."
you certainly have, although it did take you longer than expected.
Unforeseen things came in the way. Dragon eggs and lost things. Grimaces slightly.
The unforeseen does have the tendency to be rather annoying at times, it is true. I did ask you to find me. I did ask you to find Graneth. It is fortunate that you found me first, however. I did expect you to visit me at the place where you initially put me, however, it seems you were too late for that, or perhaps simply didn't care at the time. I did ask you to find me for a simple reason. First of all, look around this place. It is the graveyard of a large city, is it not? And yet there are
Yes.
so few graves. It turns out the people are not quite as ignorant of your practices and necromancy in general. They are worried about consequences, and rightly so. The other reason is that I want to make sure that you are very much aware of the importance, there was a reason why my body was moved here, right next to the grave of Grenna's wife. He tended to see me as the daughter he never had. Quite the connection, you can imagine. And I, in return, saw him as the proper father I never had. And yet you are here looking for information likely related to you wanting to find him to destroy what he is working for. That not wrong? Not right?
He has come into our way a lot of times, and he has used us for his own purposes. We are not too thrilled of what he is doing, and we wish to stop it.
Surprisingly enough, he hasn't done more to get back to you considering what you did, and he is very much aware of that. Very much aware of my murder, that is. I myself, I'm honestly not nearly as upset as I figured I would be. Was, I suppose, a professional after all. I was very much aware of the dangers of my profession. And to be quite honest, I think if our roles were reversed, I would have acted in a similar fashion, to say the least.
Looks at her. Looks at Enrikin. Decides he would actually rather not know.
Thing is, I might not be upset, but I'm still going to make you pay for it eventually. Obviously. That is the way of things. You see, I know what's coming. I know what you're looking for. I know many things you would probably like to know. And I will, in fact, help you. I will guide you, give you all the tools you need to have a fraction of a remote chance to affect the outcome, perhaps. Yeah, but then, the very end, when your victory seems plausible, I'll be there. Destroy everything you hold dear. But until then, you can consider me an ally if you wish.
Okay, yes, looks at her. Well, your words are as empty as your soul, Ghost. But if you have knowledge to share, do it.
I do not have any knowledge to offer you at the very moment, but I can give you advice. You wish to interrupt Graneth in his meditation. I would suggest that you listen to his words very carefully. Know that behind those words slumbers the rage aimed at the murderer of his, well, not biological daughter, but something very close. The fact that he, I promise you, will be willing to talk is a sign that he very much means what he says. It is true that he has targeted you. It is true that I perhaps have targeted you too. But assuming that he targeted you because you were you would be very narcissistic indeed. Very self-centered. You were unfortunate, opportunities perhaps. But you are not yet as important as a proper target would have to be, although you're certainly getting there.
Anakin looks at her, looks up and down. Well, it still remains to be seen who came out the loser of that encounter, I think.
Well, I think suffice to say that I got the shorter straw on our meeting.
So you suggest we listen to Graneth?
The form nods.
Why? Why is he worth listening to?
Because, while we might have our conflicts, I think the information he might want to share with you is worth your time. There's an enemy far greater than you or I or Graneth. There might be the slightest chance of a possibility that we could, in fact, be on the same side.
Anakin.
Perhaps Graneth should have approached us about that instead of trying to murder us repeatedly. I don't think we owe him a chance.
Neither does he owe you anything.
On that, I believe you're wrong.
The form shrugs. Besides, just killing Graneth is not going to make his actions just stop.
Who do we need to kill?
Well, that's a difficult question, isn't it? I mean, I think there might perhaps both be more and fewer people working with Graneth than you expect. Of course, there's Graneth himself, Warwick, of course. There was me, I suppose. How is Warwick these days, by the way? Still loyal to a fault, I'd wager?
Yes, extremely.
Well, with all the pulling of strings he's been doing lately, I'm surprised he didn't turn all blue again.
We're trying to rehost the call once more. Hang on. Apparently, Halldamir is going to host a call. Let's try this again.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm here.
Hey, finally.
Fine.
Talk about losing trains of thoughts. Jesus Christ.
So that was a dramatic moment I just went.